Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Not quite feeling the buzz that happens when I pop my my allergies. By the way, I'm not taking Benadryl tonight. I'm actually taking some of the good stuff, the prescription stuff that I got from the VA. But it has the same effect, but it's a lot more federal. As those of you who have followed our show for quite a time, you know I have really, really bad allergies. Wait, I'm not there. That's not too bad. Really bad allergies. The really bad allergies, and they hit me the worst in the fall, right at the end of summer, beginning of fall, and at the end of spring, just before we hit summer. Usually, when we start getting in 90s and 100, everything starts to dry out. They bother me year round, but these are the pinch points of the year where I gotta prepare or start taking some stuff, or they will incapacitate me. But I take them right before, at the end of my business day and right before the next day, right before I go to bed, and it seems to work the best that way. It gives me like a little spike of energy, and then you crash. So with that spike of energy, here we go. Welcome to the very, very first Benadryl stream. I figured I just kept calling them whatever, when I just would do a stream out of nowhere. So got the little Benadryl background. I had invited Brad, but Brad was streaming with the Lizard for like 8 hours today. I was watching that in the background, but it went on for quite some time, and they just had their hearts content with Kung Fu, man. I am so happy for them, because I can't do that much Kung Fu talk. I can't do it. They were breaking shit down to like, I kept coming back to the stream. They're like, they're watching, like they're breaking down scenes and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is literally a 5-hour Bradgasm is what that was. And I'm like, you know what? I'm happy you got it. I saw the Lizard was not the Lizard today. He wasn't talking to a raptor. Little Movie Perp is not some fugly looking dude. I mean, when you think of people who don't want to show their face sometimes, I mean, I'm thinking of like the fucking Quasimodo or something. I mean, it's like a normal dude, But yeah, Brad made his debut in there today, so I'm glad they had fun. I hope Brad got all that karate and martial arts shit out of his system. I am not a foe of martial arts. If you let Brad go, though, you will get exactly what you got this afternoon. I mean, I didn't know if they were ever going to stop. But yeah, so like I said, I was watching a little bit of that. You brought him in. I mean, I watched about an hour of non-Brad Perp, and then Brad finally made it on. Probably at his usual punctual lateness, which is hilarious for that to happen on another stream. But Uh, yeah, I want him to take all of it off. Like I said, listen, I don't if there's like I've always said, if there's a movie with karate and all that in it, and I'm going to go see that movie, I'm not going to go see a movie specifically. Um, like when it comes to science fiction, horror, and fantasy, I go to the movies for the art form that is, cutting up people, slashers, all 3Ds, the explosions, the special effects, and then a little bit of story here and there. So he goes to these movies, these other movies for the same thing. I'm never going to go to a movie because it's got martial arts in it. If there's martial arts in it, big bonus. But as far as it's a genre, it's not a genre for me. It's something that happens in movies. So I'm glad he got on a stream where he could, talk about that. I mean, I saw them breaking down somebody's interview for a little bit. I saw some people making fun of me in their chat, which is fine. Big boy, I can take it. And then the other night, I was sent a link about he was watching our stream, not our beautiful stream that I was really proud of up to a certain point, but of that chaos at the end of it. You guys had a field day with that, but like I said, enjoy it, embrace it, because it's going to be a long time before that panel door opens up. And the only reason why I haven't chopped that off at the end is it's an easy enough date for me to go back and take a look at the stream on the 24th. That's why we're not doing an open panel for when I measure the time that it's going to be till our next open panel, minimum of months. And when I mean minimum of months, I mean like 6, 7, 8, 9 months. But yeah, that watch back was painful. And like I said, not going to butcher the show and take it out, but at the same time, if you ever want to understand, especially for you new people, I'm really worried about. If you want to see the show at its best and at its not so best, you can watch the last quarter hour of that show. That last quarter hour, like I said, you won't see that for quite a while. But I hope you enjoyed the music. I hope you enjoyed the comic book talk. I hope you enjoyed all the other stuff that was actually part of the show. But yeah, when people start making streams about your open panels, that's when you know they need to stop. It was pure raid. Tiger Trog got mentioned and got. Oh yeah, hey, listen. Like I said, it's like when you bend over a toilet and you want to make sure if you're vomiting, you get everything. Once you stand upright and go back to whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you got everything out of your system. I hope Brad had gotten. Who's messaging me? It's 1:00 in the morning. Who's messaging me? Oh, hey, you know who's messaging me? YouTube. Join the Sci-Fi Center live. I'm getting this at 12:56. That's fine. This is a surprise stream, though, so I took them by surprise. Yeah, so Gonopath, all that, man. I mean, just, and I know Perp is a raid man, so that must have been like, falling in love or something. I mean, that must have been like a, crazy. I think Brad doesn't bring up martial arts on your guys' show. You might, no. Nope. Like I said, I mean, because he discusses it on a level that I don't, I don't know if our audience comprehends. And in the confines of our show, like I said, he has free reigns to do his own show. He can use my channel. He can use everything, my resources to do his own show, because then he's talking about it within the context of the conversation that he's having. I just don't think it fits what we do. So, Yeah. Watch the dying moments of open panel. Is what you're watching, because that was a mess. That was a mess. All right, so this is your time, guys. This is your time to ask me what you want to ask me. This is why the allergy meds are setting in. This one doesn't like when you take Benadryl, you kind of feel yourself going off a cliff. This one's a little bit more subtle. You Benadryl puts you out and you wake up and your allergies okay. This I can already start to feel the pressure just really loosening, and it's feeling really good right now. So and it kind of tails you into sleep. It lets you sleep a little bit easier. And the crash when you get the prescription stuff is not as bad because it's not designed to do that. So you feel a little bit better. I haven't. I think I saw it somewhere else. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I don't think she's playing Buffy though. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is still playing Buffy, but she's playing the new Slayer. I know you're talking about, but so far so good. I deleted most of my streaming platforms and trying to save my movie watching for the theater. Hey, listen, I know I talk about the reality of streaming because it is the reality of streaming. It's like people who love physical media. The reality of this physical media is changing. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to ever die completely, but I don't know if it's ever going to be what it was. I hope it is, but at the same time, the reality of these things. So if you get a chance to go to a movie theater to see something, then go see it by all means. That's where a lot of these directors design their movies to be seen on that platform. It's just the reality of financing and everything else is that most people won't see it there. I'm not trying to be. I'm just dealing with it. Hello, Clint. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling well. We're gonna have 106, 107-degree heat on Saturday, and I'm all right with it. You know what? I mean, I think I finally got to the point where I no longer dread the heat here in Vegas, and it took a long time. I dread the rain here in Vegas far more than I dread the heat here in Vegas. What? What? You sure you got the right stream, Dante? Because that was not normal. I didn't feel it was normal, but yeah. No, I have Death, Love, and Robots in my queue to watch. When I take a vacation from everything in late July as I head into Comic-Con, that is one of the things I have planned to watch. I just finished Andor season 2 a couple of days ago. Oh my God. I mean, I know there are some people who don't like Andor and they haven't, and that's fine. That is fine. I mean, I could see when I hear some of the reasons people like Andor, those are valid reasons, man. And I just did I didn't do a rewatch, but I did a whole, just bits and pieces of scenes over the first few seasons. And I just posted that speech by Lucen, the sacrifice speech. Every time I hear him hit that speech, when the guy, what's his face? What have you sacrificed? And he gives his speech, and I burned my decency for someone else's future. I burnt my life for a sunrise I'll never see. And I'm like, man, this is. And then there's 4 or 5 monologues in there or speeches like that throughout the 2 seasons that are just, you listen to them and you could take the Star Wars out of it if you want to. You can take this is a war show because what they're talking about and what they're doing, history is scattered with people who have made these types of sacrifices, and you'll never know who they were, but they were committed to the cause. And when you hear him say that, and I think that was from season 1 a couple of years ago, it still shakes me to this day when I hear it. And then or stepmom, her speech in the holograms, all that stuff, man. It's just like, I really do want, like I said, I want them to apply the quality that is Andor to something else that is not in the backyard. And I know they can do it, but man, I was behind on Andor. I know a lot of people, watched it as it came out. I was busy and I knew I was going to get to it. A show that I will not be giving you any more time with. I tried Last of Us, that season finale. Now, I know it happens to the characters because I watched the gameplay movie, but at the same time, First of all, you needed more than 7 episodes. There was just too much, that should have been touched on, I guess. But I just really didn't like the pace of the season. I didn't feel like this season was significant. And a lot of that is a victim of season one. Season one was brilliant. Dude, season one, from its opening scene to its closing scene, was brilliant. That opening scene where that doctor's talking about the fungus, that's some scary shit. But I think had that season not been as good as it was, maybe I could probably give a pass to season 2. I don't think I'll be around for season 3 of Last of Us. Heat. 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 As long as you're regulating your body and taking care of yourself and putting yourself in air conditioning, heat's fine. Heat doesn't damage anything. The heavy rainstorms do damage, and they do damage to the places that I'm in, and they do long-term damage that takes a long time to fix, and you can't properly fix correctly because the city wasn't built in a way where a patch here, patch there works. It's not like they're not trying to fix my ceiling and my roof at the store. It's the fact that it's a 1961 building that wasn't built for that. And to be honest with you, there are new buildings, brand new buildings that just went up that are having issues because, if they were built before the last 15 or 20 years, you just didn't have this kind of weather to do that kind of damage. So no, in a heartbeat, I'll take the heat. If you told me I was never going to have a rainstorm here for the next maybe 25 years, but you give me a 6 months of 115, I'll take the 6 months of 115. No doubt. What, dressed up like a Fly Guy? Because you look like a pimp the other day, buddy. You look like a Fly Guy from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Look up Fly Guy if you want to see what Drogo looks like the other night with his hat. Like I said, it's a horrible decision to have to change rain or heat, but it was hot today. Don't have to put out buckets for anything. Don't have to patch up anything. Don't have to come into an office or so to see what was damaged, or to I don't have to delay building out things into areas because I know I'm going to be filling buckets of water in them. So 120-degree heat, yeah, it sucks. Trust me, I wish I had better options. But if it's between those two, it could never rain here again. I'd be okay. And I know I get the people, we need it. I don't need it. I don't need gallons of water ruining what I built and paid for. Don't need that. Don't need to have to bring in air things to dry out the carpet. Don't need that. Don't need to replace insulation and soggy. No, don't need any of that. Don't need it. It will be cool if the Game of Thrones guys came up with a Star Wars now. The final season is still better than most new Star Wars. I haven't seen Andor, but those guys are writers. The final half of the final season of season 8 of Game of Thrones. The first 3 episodes of the final season are epic. They're some of the best TV I've ever seen. The last 3 sucked. So yeah, I mean, when they were at their best, yeah, but when they were mailing it in, yeah, it's just like I said, maybe it's because I was spoiled in season 1, because season 1 was really good. I just wasn't feeling it, and that finale, how they wrapped that up, I'm like, what? Yeah, wasn't a big fan of that. Wasn't a big fan of that. So, like I said, I am not going to be dedicating any more time to The Last of Us. If it ends up being good, 3rd season, then at that point I can come back to it. That's the beauty of streaming. That's the beauty of all these things that if I want to take another look at it, I can. But right now, I just going into next season, I can't do it. Okay, I went back and saw the end of the stream. Bro had his shirt off when he first came on. What'd you expect? Listen, I've had people Enosh did a stream from his hot tub, so I wouldn't care. I mean, as long as you're not a girl, flashing and getting us taken off the air, um, that part didn't bother me. I mean, it's kind of hilarious. You don't see it often, but nah, if he'd came on without his shirt on and just but it's not just Omega Swiper. It kind of sounds like I'm picking on Omega Swiper. It's not just him. I just don't like what those things do to my show. That's all. These things are representative of the host. Everybody's stream is representative of who they are and what they do. And, each person who does one of these needs to make sure that what I am broadcasting is what I want, is what, how I want the show to be represented. And that's things like that just represented, because there's a lot of people who will go to that stream and only watch the last 20 minutes. And that's kind of fucked up. So it's like, that's not why we spent 3 hours putting together what I thought was a pretty good show. So you may see that as normal. I'm more like, if that's normal, then I don't want that normal anymore. Yeah, too bratty. Everybody was a bit more whinier than they were the first season too, or maybe it was just me, but yeah. It's because it's associated with damage. I associate the rain with damage. I associate the rain with ruining shit. I didn't always, because it didn't rain that much here. And it didn't rain enough to do the kind of damage it does these years. So I was like, rain, cool. All right. It's a little bit, you kind of looked at it like a blessing. I say, 114 degrees, here comes the monsoon season. You get a couple of days of, the sun not beating down from you. That's not the case anymore. And now we get more than I think we need. And we've gotten it so often since 2023 that the infrastructure, it can't hold up. And it can't be properly repaired in some cases because it was never designed to be. So insane. Yeah, that's I just don't look at it the same way as I used to when I first got here. No. I mean, remember, we used to celebrate the end of summer because fall is my favorite season. But fall of 2023 is when we had the hurricane off the coast of California that pushed a weather system in there. And for like 6 months out of that, one stretch of time, it literally rained every weekend. And I got the weatherman getting up here talking about a drought. I'm like, dude, get the fuck off my screen. Come down to the Sci-Fi Center and bring a bucket. You want some water? I got buckets for you. And everybody's like, hey, I'm glad we had rain because we needed it. Every person that says that, in my head, I'm visualizing taking that person to a puddle with sufficient amount of water after all this and drowning them in that. Not in real life, because I don't want to go to jail. But every time somebody comes to me, we need it, I want to take them and I want to drown them in it. And I want to see if the need for oxygen is stronger than the need for all this water. How about I put your head in a bucket? One of the full buckets I have after a rain. I mean, if you need it, hang out at my store next time when it rains. You can have as much as you want. So I never used to get the heat because the heat. Once I went overseas though. Once you go over to the Middle East heat, that's a different type of heat. That's hell. That is hell. You're talking about 127, 128 degrees in an all kind manner of, exhaustion. But and you come back here, it's like it's not that bad. I mean, if you look at it when it comes to Vegas, it's a quarter of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, in a quarter. So you're basically talking really about 3.5 months of unbearable heat, with a couple of added on here and there, because I know sometimes it goes all the way up until October, and maybe it starts earlier here. But you know what? Like I said, It's going to be 106 degrees Saturday. When I come in the next day to my office, to my store, there's no heat damage to the Sci-Fi Center. All right. Another one is wind, but wind is not as bad. I mean, but like I said, because deserts, most places in the desert, they're built for wind. We're built for all kinds of stuff. But you're not built for this kind of stuff. And it you trying to fix it is kind of hard. Yeah, but that building just fine until recently. I mean, repairing the roof, due to the contraction and retraction, that's fine. That's fine. We're having to repair the roof because Niagara Falls comes through it. That's a different thing. But we are getting a new roof, though. Hello, Slipknot. What's going on? Fiagato, welcome to the Sci-Fi Center. William, comic books and fantasy movies seem immature. Yeah. Guilty. I'm a grown-ass man with a lightning bolt on his chest who goes to conventions and goes to live. You need to add wrestling in there too, because I'm guilty of all these things. Guilty. William, did you have a favorite wrestling magazine when I came to having the most action? Oh, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Pro Wrestling Illustrated was the standard. Still is. PWI is still the standard. Yeah, we were talking about that today. I was going back and forth with Film Junkie about it. And I made a tweet that they were stealing my idea, him and Scott Snyder, and I tagged him in the if you guys have been watching the show for any good measure of time, you'll know how I feel about that. I have pitched that, I'm not the only one, but I pitched that on our platforms as many times as I can remember. And I will tell you right now, if I had the option of animation, live action, and comic books in front of me, yes, I'm biased, but that's not just it, though. I want it in a graphic novel maxi series format. I want everything. I don't want any abbreviations. I don't want any compromise to the story. I want the story that the storyteller means to put out there in all of its glory, all of its length, all of its beauty. If you start doing movies and all this other stuff, you are sacrificing things. You're compromising things. You have maybe 2.5 hours to tell a story of a movie. You're talking about budgets. You can't always do the visual things you want to do because you're talking about limitations depending on where this is going to be sold. You're talking about money and infrastructure. There's a whole bunch of things that by the time you get that done, you have had to sacrifice bits and pieces of your story. And I'm done doing that. I mean, I don't see a reason, if we're going to end up cutting it up and not getting the full breadth of what Zack Snyder meant to tell you, I just don't want to do it. So I say you do it in comics. The financial risk is minimal. You get as much time and as many pages to tell the story. And you're monitoring those sales. You have data now. So if somebody was to do a cartoon, if somebody was to do another live action or anything like that, you now have data. Because I guarantee you, Absolute Batman is going to be in a motion or animation form sooner than later, probably within the next 3 years, if not sooner. With its sales, yeah. So, yeah, I've heard that. We're gonna explore this a little bit deeper. I'm trying to get a hold of the guy who from Hollywood Handle who first broke that to get on the show. Outside of the Pacific Northwest, it seems like the West Coast is not designed to handle a ton of rain. William, is that your filtration system is designed for? Well, I grew up in California, and we, places there, even San Bernardino, which is a desert, was more designed to handle rain because you get more rain on that end of the Mojave than you do in Vegas. Once you go this deep into the eastern Mojave, you're not supposed to get as much rain as we've gotten. So, my filtration system, I don't know quite what you're asking, but as far as like we have really hard ground here, so the water does not get absorbed into the ground like some places, some other deserts do. Like in San Bernardino, there's that you don't have that caliche shit that stops the water. You have detention basins here, but you don't have a lot. This is not a very big city for square mileage. Places in California are much larger. They have detention bases that range throughout the county. We did so as a response to more and more rain, whereas places in California have them built into the infrastructure from day one. So it's a big difference. Hi, Rhea. What's going on? Where is the link to what? I'm spoiled. I have 65, 7.5 degree heater and uh, a blast the heater with the window wide open. Yeah, you're living in NorCal too. So, like I said, I sort of envy. I listen. My ultimate goal is to get back to California. Is to find a way when it's time for me to use my VA loan to buy a house. I want to buy a house in California. Um, you know, that is my home. That is where I'm from. California is in my blood. That's where I want to get back to. I am not going to be in Vegas forever. So, yeah, I miss the weather in California, to be honest with you. Okay, I think I just answered this. What I'm trying to say is that it seems like the system that are meant to prevent flooding on the West Coast in general aren't really designed. Well, like I said, if you're in parts of most of California is most of California. I think even Death Valley, when they get rain, Vegas is not. Vegas's infrastructure is behind everything. It doesn't have you like I said, we're just now digging drainage. We're just now doing the things to prevent the flooding, but most of these other places built it because that's the kind of weather they had from the moment their cities and towns were founded. And when I got here in 1993, there wasn't all this water. So they built, in their defense, they built the city for the weather that they thought they were going to have. No, we're not doing open panel tonight. We go to. I'm thinking about going back to San Bernardino. Long Beach is good. I wish I could afford to live in LA proper, to be honest with you, but it's probably going to be San Bernardino. You're still close enough to LA. I want to be able to go to a Dodger game. Want to on a regular basis. I want to be able to go to a Kings game. I want to be able to jump on that train and go straight down to downtown LA. I want, like I said, California is my home. That's why when I go to Comic Con, it's more like it's really hard to come back here. Even though San Diego is not where I grew up, it's still Southern California. You step off that plane in Southern California, man. My body knows it grew up there. My body knows the torture I've put it through by bringing it to this inferno. But eventually we'll get on a plane or a train or whatever to Southern California, and it's going to be one way for a while. If you want to have cheap housing with him, the states, I think you meant to say within the states, you need to go to. I understand you don't like their politics with Texas and Florida. How the breast pricing. I'm not going to Texas or Florida. I spent enough time, and no offense to you, because those of you who live there, it's just not the place for me. And I just know California is where I would want to go. Florida, you have scheduled bad weather in Florida. I can't deal with the rain here. Now they're generally built to deal with rain differently, but you also have hurricanes and humidity, and so yeah, no. And I'm not. I mean, like I said, um, you know, I'm not, I'm not completely against paying for, something better. I mean, get what you pay for. The last one we'll probably have for a long time, Pagoda, was Saturday night. There won't be an open panel for a while. Just looking at my messages and seeing. Wow, you guys must know I have weird hours because people have no problem messaging me. Yeah. What's my opinion of Northern California, Sacramento, the Bay Area, going upwards toward the area close to the border of Oregon? It's nice. It's nice. I mean, being a Southern California, we always considered Northern California. We called it NoCal because we didn't consider it part of California. But it's nice up there. I mean, I've been up there. When I deployed with a unit that 43rd Transportation unit that was based out of Mirror Island. So we stayed up there for a little bit, and when we came back, the weather up in Northern California is to my liking. The weather up in Northern California, Sacramento, San Francisco, Oakland, that area, that is the Bay Area, that is to my liking. Everything else, I don't like. I'm not going to like any of the teams there. But the Bay Area's weather is more to my liking than where I'm at right now. So, yeah. Selectable and panels of them. Yeah, every now and then we might do a 5-minute thing to where you got 5 minutes and we bounce you. That's it. And that. But I'm not, like I said, I'm just not, they don't fit the show, to be honest with you. So, yeah, every now and then, we'll bring, I'm not saying we won't bring guests on, but we're going to bring, we'll bring people with, that we're comfortable with, like that are journalists or people who we have had on before. They understand that. Most of them will have had their own platform, so they'll understand what we're trying to do. So, horror movies. I said you like horror movies. What do you think about the new Bombay movie that's coming out? Don't know about it. I'll have to look up a shade. Send me a link with a trailer in it. Let me take a look at it. But I love horror movies. Bombay, is that an Indian horror movie? I'm totally in the dark. I'm behind. Northern California, aka Northern California is awesome too. I have family up there on my side. Pasadena, Altadena used to be really cool. Black Milk out there, yeah. And then they burned down. And I really, really hope that those areas get rebuilt and made accessible. I would hate to see the population that was there get burnt out of their homes that way and not be able to come back. When you lived in California, William, how far were you from the naval base there? The closest naval base that I knew of was the Pacific Fleet in San Diego. There was probably one on the coast in where I was living in LA, but I didn't. We didn't ever go there. Every time we went to the naval station, it would be to visit my uncle, who was a master chief on an aircraft carrier. We would go down to San Diego in the Pacific Fleet, or we would fly out to Norfolk, Virginia, where he was based, where the USS Enterprise was, and we would visit him here. But the Pacific Fleet in San Diego would be the closest one to me that I can remember. Yeah, that might happen. That might happen. Where we have one person at a time. That person has 5 minutes or whatever, and then when it's time to go, when that clock kicks, bing, that's it. It's got. I don't care if you're in mid sentence or not. That kind of stuff we might have sooner than later, but even that's a stretch. Yeah, I've been to Oxnard. There's a base out there. Santa Barbara is expensive as fuck though. Oh, Bambi the Reckoning. Okay, yeah. By the way, we're working out with Jagged Edge Pictures to get them on the show. As you guys have watched, if you watch the channel for any amount of time, you know that we've had Scott Jeffries, the producer, the studio head of Jagged Edge Films, who produces Bambi the Reckoning, who did Peter Man. I mean, we've had interviews with Peter Pan, Neverland, Nightmare. We've had them on for Pooh, Blood and Honey, both 1 and 2. And we're working on getting some screenings out here in Vegas of some of their movies. I would like to get with them. I've been given permission to get with some of the cast from Pooh, Blood and Honey to do a watch along, but they are on the other side of the planet. They're, so it's the schedules are kind of crazy, but yeah, we are going to be doing a promotion for Bambi the Reckoning. It looks cool, looks great. I'm a big fan of Jagged Edge and the stuff that they do. So, and I've been with them and covering their stuff since before Pooh, Blood and Honey came out. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's the March Air Force Base in Riverside County. I actually lived on that base for a little bit. Where they used to do all the that's El Toro. That's El Toro Naval Station. El Toro Air Station, Naval and Marine Station. For Top Gun. Top Gun is Fighter Town. That's in San Diego. No problem. No problem. I'm glad you clarified. But yeah, Bambi the Reckoning, we're going to be getting behind that movie big time. No, I don't do chaos. I don't do chaos. And I don't mind if other people do chaos. That if that's their thing, that's all right. I don't do chaos. Chaos erodes credibility. And it erodes the work you put into a stream or a show. There are some individuals where that fits what they do. It does not fit what I do. Remember, every inch of this show is representative of me and my franchise, and I don't do things that misrepresent me. And when you throw the line out there, you don't know what you're going to pull in, and it can fuck up your show. So yeah, I don't do chaos. No, I did not. I was supposed to go see it today, but we had some stuff go down, and I needed to be there for it. But I will. Let me know. I'm going to AMC though. Even if I don't get to see it tomorrow, I'm going to go to AMC and grab that bucket. I really want that bucket. This is where I disagree with you. A little bit. I'd rather deal with hurricanes and tornadoes because of the early warning system. Yeah, but where I grew up, everywhere I grew up on the San Andreas Fault. So, and every building there was built to take up to a 9.0. Anything beyond a 9.0, you're dead anyway. So, and hurricanes, it's like, I mean, you're talking about like 100 mile, 200 mile per hour winds. Fuck that. Like that. I mean, rarely are things built for a hurricane. You really can't build for a hurricane. That's why you have to evacuate. You just get lucky if your shit don't get wiped out. So no, you can help it. How is we? Okay, me and Jagged Edge Pictures. That's the way I'm talking about. If that's what you're typing, I know that you said English was your first language, so I'm going to try it. Where are you from, Pagoda? Just curious. Where are you from? I always want to know where we're getting our viewership from. Lewis says it's going to surpass Top Gun Maverick. This movie could possibly hit 1 billion. It could. Wow, he really doesn't like centers, so that's. Yeah, when I was living in California, if anything less than a 6.4, we didn't even do the earthquake drill. I mean, we were supposed to, but anything less than 6.4, we just sat there and like, ooh, was that an earthquake? Half the time we were trying to figure out whether it was an earthquake or not until we saw it on the news. Sorry, I just have to make sure that I'm not ignoring people. Hi from Israel. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, the first viewer we've had from Israel. Welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy it. Not if I'm going to be on the screen. Maybe that could be the premiere of Brad's Kung Fu dream. I don't know. All right, guys. Got any crazy stuff to get off your mind? Still not getting nearly as drowsy on this new stuff, man. Doing pretty good. Shit, what time is it over in Israel right now? You're what? 12 hours ahead of us? Let's see. Oh, you guys are still talking about your war between who likes Sinners and who doesn't. Sinners made $339 million on a $90 million budget, so I'm happy for it. Right now, it's pretty hot, right, Pagoda? It's getting up there because the entire Middle East is pretty much it's going to be getting up there. Yeah. William, I have a friend of mine who's in the military that's watching you now from Okinawa. Hello, friend from Okinawa. Is he with the Army or the Navy? He might even be a Marine because all three of them are there. Thank you for your service, fellow service person, whoever you are. If you're in the chat right now, say hi. Air Force? Okay, yeah, Air Force is there. My cousin, Jimmy was stationed there for most of his career. Oh, you're talking the ones that were chasing. Yeah, they kind of came and went. I've seen the explanation of them, and he really feared them. What basically he was is there was probably someone in their tribe that could use music in the same way Sammy did, and he tried to exploit them too, and they figured him out and they chased his ass. So I would like to see that. Will, for you, who is the definitive run on the Blade character when it comes to the artist and rival? Jackson Geist did. He just passed away. Jackson Geist. So, yeah. Let's take a Google. They're awesome. What are we doing? Nothing better than being shacked up during a nice storm. Hurricanes aren't nice storms. Hurricanes are deadly. So yeah, I would be the guy who just left. Fuck it, I'm gone. Let's see. Wow, it's 1:36. All right, I think it's gonna be. Got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, so we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna go eat. I think he got down a couple of days ago. No, we had the closest thing we had was in September of 2023. That's when all my problems started because there was a hurricane off the coast of California. I forgot what the name was, but it was the first hurricane off the coast of California that I ever remember. And that's when you know the weather is changing. And what that did is it pushed that system over to us, and it fucking destroyed everything. So yeah. William, since I run a comic book store, there's a comic book store within the Sci-Fi Center. I have submitted that. Why does it seem like comic books have a wow? Okay, I know you meant to type this better, so I'm not even gonna fuck with you about it. Why does it seem like comic books that have a black? I'm assuming you mean a black lead or a black mainline character don't sell that well. That's not necessarily true because Miles Morales sells really well. Um, you Black Panther sells pretty well. Both Ultimate and the normal Black Panther do well. Storm is doing pretty well. You got to realize that there's not a lot of us out there as there's as much representation in the comic book world than there is as there is in normal life. 13% of the population. Green Lantern, uh, Absolute Green Lantern is doing well. That's helmed by a Black woman. Um, yeah, I think comic book collectors are down for anything these days. I just named off a couple of them that are selling pretty well right now. So I don't think that's the case. Thank you very much for being honest. I expect that you would say racist towards me because I'm from Israel. At least this time, that's not the case. Unlike other you, no, dude. I'm gonna respect. I respect your opinion. I respect where you're coming from. And even if I did have a political disagreement with any given regime of any country at any time, that doesn't mean I have an issue with their people. Israelis, I have no problem with Israel. Anybody. Like I said, there are going to be political disagreements that people have. I usually don't bring them up on this show, but there's a difference between a political conversation and racial hatred. And I believe in a civilized society, you have to be able to to know the difference and have to be able to respect both of those, and know what they are. So no, you being from Israel, no, you are a viewer of the Sci-Fi Center Presents, and I welcome you with open arms. I have people from Pakistan, I have people from Australia, I have people from here, I have people from all over the world, I have people from all over my own country that come from places that have political different views than I do, and they're all welcome here, and you are welcome here as well. It's 11:38 there. Okay, cool. So you are wow. So you're in the afternoon. Yeah, yeah. You come here, you're a geek just like everybody else is here, and I don't get into too much politics here because I want this to be a place where people you a lot of times you're inundated with it all day long everywhere you go. So I want this to be the place you can come and you can feel safe here and not have to be bombarded by that. We make some jokes every now and then, but other than that, nope. You can be from Saudi Arabia, you can be part of Sci-Fi Center. You can be from Yemen, if you can get, you can be part of Sci-Fi Center. Um, I've had South Africans jump in. So no, I mean, there are places all over the world that I either agree or disagree with governments and politics. But as a people, you'll always be welcome in here. The reason why I was asking about SPS, they had a lot of characters like Blue Marble and Blade. Yeah. Well, Blade's has never been a big seller. People got to understand Blade's a guest character. Blade is a guest character. He's a tool to tell a story when it comes to comics. People look at the movie and say, well, he did so well in the movie. That doesn't mean it's going to sell in a comic book structure all the time. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And Green Lantern as a book for a while didn't sell well. Didn't matter who was in it. Green Lantern didn't sell well with the white guy, with Hal Jordan. Green Lantern was on its way to being canceled the before Kyle Rayner and Ron Mars and them saved that book. Oh wow! Look how high tech we're getting these days. Um, I'm sorry, I muted myself while I tried to answer your question. No, Air Force. Air Force is the biggest rivalry the Army has because they stole all our money. The Air Force used to be part of the Army until 1947, so we make a joke about that. Yeah, because you once you come of age in Israel, you spend your first 2 years there, right? If you're living there, if you're of able body. So yeah. No, no, Marvel was in a pretty bad place in 1998. I mean, nothing was moving. Remember, this is the era that led to them selling off a lot of their stuff during the mid to late 90s. There really nothing was moving, and a lot of people did not associate Blade the movie with the comic book. Most people who saw Blade in the movie theaters went years beyond that, seeing that without never knowing that it was a comic book IP. That's why when people say, "Well, Blade did this and that," and I know people didn't even know what it was. They knew Wesley Snipes, but no. A little bit. He started looking wearing the black leather and the weird sunglasses, and the haircut was different. All the lines cutting in it. Certain characters. Just like they did with the X-Men for a while. So yeah, it did. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough world out there right now. I know a lot of my tourists that come to the Sci-Fi Center. I get a lot of foreign tourists. Well, I used to. I get a lot of foreign tourists right now that are when I send out my emails because I have a tracking system where I can send out coupons when I know certain people are coming. I'm like, hey, you know what? This is because every year they come at the same time, and when we have our Canadians, because we have the Vegas Golden Knights out there, so we're getting a lot more Canadians over the last 6 or 7 years. I get the return email saying, hey, we're gonna take a breather from the States right now because of some of the stuff's going on. And some of them have been hassled at the border when at customs, when the whole Canada thing was going down. I got a lot of people. I got customers that come in from Brazil that just don't want to deal with the hassle right now, or the perceived hassle. So yeah, it's tough. And I'm only bringing that up not politically because it hurts. It hurts my business. It hurts the center because out of the 78 to 80% of my walk, dude, it's tourists. Out of that, a good 15% are foreign tourists. So anybody that takes a 15% hit of their business, it's going to hurt no matter what the reasons are. Let's see. All right, guys. I think that's been about an hour. I think that's where I'm going to roll it up right now. All right. Well, hey, allergies meds are starting to fill in. Eyes are starting to get a little bit heavy. Yay. When I wake up, I'll be clear and free and being able to breathe. Hopefully, it counteracts all the pollen. I went to get that my allergy test last week and put the needles in my to see what I'm still bothered by. It's everything. It's everything. So yeah. So all right, guys. Try to have a good Tuesday. We will more than likely, me and the Kung Fu dude will probably be back tonight at around 11:30 to just talk geek. And take a swig of lean. If that's liquor, I won't be taking a swig of it at all. Yeah, guys, have a good night, and we will. Hey, listen. People are free to go where they want. I'm not pushing them away, but if eventually he'll want to come over and have some of these geek conversations we're having. Like I said, it's good he has a nice other yard to run around in and get all that kung fu out of the system before he comes inside this house. So, all right, guys, have a nice morning, and we will see you later. Oh, please like, subscribe, and share. Blah blah blah.